Look, I wonder if there's actually a very good business with Robotaxi. I mean, we don't know what people are going to pay for that. I don't think your average customer who needs a ride cares if the driver of that car is Vinny Romano from Queens in a yellow cab, an Uber and a Lyft driver, or a robot. They don't care as long as it's on time and they get there safe.
Sure, but it's all about taking the driver out of the equation from a cost standpoint so that you can lower the price of the rides, get that much more volume, and make that much more money.
That driver that everybody hates so much and thinks is just getting super rich driving an Uber or a Lyft, they don't pay him that much. He absorbs the depreciation and amortization on that car. He changes the tires, he charges or gasses it up. He parks it himself when it's not running, and he pays the insurance on it.
But
All of that stuff. What's the insurance going to be on these robotaxi companies now that we drag somebody for 20 feet?
As you can see, we have a juicy Robotaxi debate lined up for today. The men on the left are bears, the men on the right are bulls. Me, I'm a bull. And I'm already spotting some holes in the argument from David Welch from Bloomberg, one of our bears. He said, I don't know what people are going to pay for a Robotaxi ride. And remember, these finance guys, they don't really like what they don't know already. But he actually answers his question right after. He says, people don't care whether it's a taxi driver, whether it's an Uber driver, it's a robot. They just want it to get there on time and to get them there safely. So great. Sounds like you got the answer. People are willing to pay for a Robotaxi ride what they already pay for an Uber. And then he said that insurance costs are going to be massive for autonomous vehicles. Well, I'm going to let my fellow bulls take this one.
Pay more for this.
Well, by definition, autonomous vehicles shouldn't have accidents, right? So they shouldn't need insurance, number one. Number two, when I get into an Uber, I don't care what brand it is. So I don't care if it's GM,
Right.
Ford. So this is existential for them.
Let's go back to the first thing you said. In theory, there shouldn't be accidents from robotaxis, so that the insurance should be nothing. These cars have to work perfectly and handle every edge case for that to be true. And I think we're a very
We're a long way from that happening. However,
didn't a Waymo car just hit a cyclist?
yeah, it did. And why do we know this? Because a cyclist walked away with a few scratches. And so it's national news. National news. A bicyclist got some scratches. You know, how many people were hit by cars in San Francisco that day?
Totally, but
nothing in the
But
news
the only way you're
about
going to
it.
get away with not paying insurance is if the car has no accidents. that are its fault.
So yeah, no, I would not agree with you that they're not going to have any
No.
accidents, but the data's out there, David.
Look,
They have far fewer accidents.
And here is the data. In full self-driving mode on surface streets, a Tesla appears to be 5 times safer than a Tesla in manual mode and 16 times safer than the national average. Waymo's autonomous cars are 2 to 3 times safer than the national average, while Cruise, now sidelined by regulators, seems to have underperformed the national average considerably. So yeah, Waymo just hit a cyclist. That's not great. But as long as they're honest with regulators, they don't lie like Cruise did, they will continue to run, continue to gather data, and continue to, provide a service to people who are wanting the privacy of a robotaxi. Oh yeah, they're also going to be saving lives in the meantime. Less accidents means cheaper insurance. Now the debate is about to heat up.
People are going to get killed in autonomous vehicles. They are, but it's going to be a fraction of what gets killed right now.
I agree. When I ask, is there a business in robotaxis? How profitable is it? Is it worth the billions of dollars of development? It might be. Look, every business model we've seen
But you have
that's
to put a
going
timing on
to
that, right? Like when?
revolutionize the automobile and transportation. 2017, 18, AV and EV. We're going to be here within a couple of years and revolutionize everything. It's all been more difficult, more costly, and taken way more time than everybody expected. So, look, my job is to be a skeptical journalist. And right now I'm saying, hey, any of these programs, your software, your EVs, your AVs, whatever it is, show me, prove it that it makes money, prove that it's safe, because none of it's working right now.
Well, it is working right now. I just told you my brother drove all over Phoenix with no problems whatsoever.
And EVs work in China.
And China's going whole hog in it. I mean, so there's a bunch of people around the world who do believe this is a game changer. I happen to believe
it is,
it's a
but
game
when?
changer.
And look, it still has, in the U.S. system, it still has to make money.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. If it can't make money, it's not going to happen.
So I would just bring up Amazon. They didn't make money for almost 20 years. Now, I bet you probably 3 or 4 or 5 of us have all Amazon Prime accounts, right? So, I mean, the path to profitability doesn't have to be tomorrow, right? I mean, the management of these companies they were never the expectations they set were never realistic.
Oh, but you're at a different look. I agree that Amazon in some ways is a good comparator because they started off selling us books and music, and then what do? They learned distribution, supply chain, electronic payment, marketing of stuff online, all of that stuff, and now they sell us everything, right? They didn't start off selling us everything. So, and that's what autonomy should have done, and some of the companies have done that. Started off more simple in what the vehicles learn. Difference with Amazon though, there was always a lot of hype that it was going to be a game changer, and investors were always in. Investors were in on AV, but now you look, arguably, first, investors assign zero value to Cruise within general. They don't think it's worth a plug nickel. And if you look at the stocks of the publicly traded AV companies, Aurora being one, these things are all trading at a couple of bucks. Way, way, way off their peaks. A lot of people have lost a lot of money on those. They may come back, but that's a problem. Because if your stock's trading in the tank, you can't raise money.
It is, but
Yeah, the sentiment for autonomous vehicles right now is not what it was. It's not very high. We even heard the CEO of Comma yesterday agree that autonomous vehicles are probably at least 10 years away. But this is kind of creating an interesting landscape for Tesla because, like that guy just said, sentiment's very low. It's really, really hard to raise money. Cruise and Waymo have been burning cash for years now. Why would an investor want to touch that with a 10-foot pole? But here's Tesla. They're making money. They've got $29 billion in cash. This is all this bad sentiment's actually setting up Tesla to be in quite a good position. And look, you want to say that autonomous vehicles are 10 years away? Well, let's go back to 2019. Everybody said nobody can make electric vehicles profitably. Tesla ended up printing money way faster than anybody expected, and we saw what happened to the stock. If something similar happens with autonomous vehicles, well, hold on to your seats. And look, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they will come faster than you expect. But the way things are shaping up in China, you never know.
the race is on between the US and China
Yes.
over AVs.
Mhm.
And, it seems like every week I look at the media in China and somebody else has gotten a license in some city to go
Yeah.
with no driver in it.
I'm probably one of the few, maybe 50, 60, 70 people that have ridden in multiple autonomous vehicles in China and the United States. So they're not. So I rode in a Cruise, a lot of one ways when you're getting into San Francisco. So and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and it was no faster than 35 miles an hour. And in the Chinese autonomous vehicles that I've been in, there's a lot of naked left turns that were going, and they were going faster than 35 miles an hour, or kilometers an hour. So it's neck and neck. But all else being equal, they win because of the data, because the size of China, the difficulty of getting around Chinese cities, especially the lower tier cities, and so it is going to be a race. I mean, the wild card is Tesla, right? Because they're probably they're trying to launch FSD in China, but that's going to be kind of dicey too, right?
It's dicey because why would China want a bunch of American Tesla robots loaded with cameras and GPSs driving around China recording data? I think they're going to let Tesla FSD into China because they want their products in the US. Now, we are seeing evidence that Tesla FSD is going to get approved in China. Here's that evidence. Tesla Chan, very reputable source in China. He's got 20,000 followers on X. He says, Tesla China announced that all vehicle owners in China will be able to start their enhanced autopilot 30-day trial. This is a natural progression towards FSD beta. And Reuters, citing 4 sources, reported that Shanghai plans to speed up approvals for companies looking to send local data overseas. This will favor Tesla FSD's advancement speed. And this is something investors can be excited about right now because FSD approval in China is imminent. 2 million current Teslas in China with a 25% initial take rate of $200 a month subscription. That's 1 billion USD of new earnings. And you might say, okay, 25% take rate in China, that's way too high. Well, right now there's 2 million Teslas in North America, and we have over 400,000 beta testers. So that's already over 20% penetration FSD beta. So who knows what's going to happen in China regarding those numbers. But what I do know for certain is that $1 billion in new earnings for Tesla is actually quite material, considering they made $10 billion last year in non-GAAP net income.
How expensive are those cars to make, Michael?
The problem is the scale. If you don't build it in scale, then
A Robotaxi? Baidu has one on sale for $50,000.
in China.
6 lidar, 40 sensors. So it's not a cost issue because lidar, you can get solid state lidar for less than $500-$600 right now. And I mean, the sensors are part and parcel with almost every passenger vehicle in the world right now. So it's not a cost standpoint because, but this is where Tesla actually has us as a beta testers, right? And this is why
With no LiDAR.
Yeah.
But that's not true autonomy either. I mean, full self-driving is not full self-driving.
It's moving that way though, no? You don't think full self-driving will eventually become the robotaxi that Elon thinks it will be?
Show me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one, David. I mean, they got to show. I mean, he's been talking about this for way too long.
6 or 7 years now they've been talking about
Well,
this.
the difference now is this new V12, right? Version 12, which is the, learn by watching video clips, not by heaping on more piles of code. So that's going to be the real thing. And
Yeah,
the early reviews are mixed. Some are extremely
A
positive.
lot of short sellers have lost a lot of money counting Tesla out.
Yeah.
But again, with autonomy, it's just really different. And so, I think we have to have patience that the market doesn't have. And,
it's still 15 years
that's
out.
where we are.
It's still at least 15
Well,
years out.
define what you mean, because I keep coming back to my brother who drove all around
I
Phoenix
guess
in one.
Commercially viable profit.
Well, what I would say is commercial will probably go there first, trucks for the reasons that we described.
There's a business case.
There's a business case, exactly right. And it's not just about a difficulty in getting truck drivers. It's that truck drivers have a limit on how many hours they can drive a
Uptime.
day.
Uptime's everything.
Right. So the driver can sleep in the cab while the truck keeps on rolling. And there's huge advantages to it. And that's why I think commercial will get there first. And then, of course, it's going to be geo-fenced. It's only going to be in certain areas. But I believe it's like cell phones. When cell phones first came out, you could only use them in downtown business districts. And then you could use them in the airport as well. And then you could use them in your car going from the business district to the airport. Now you use them everywhere. And the same thing, I believe, will happen with the geofence posts for autonomous vehicles. We'll just keep moving those fence posts farther and farther apart until they're from sea to shining sea. But that's not going to happen in a couple of years. That's going to take a couple of decades to do.
So that's where we're at, guys. It's 2024. We're in February, and Elon still hasn't made a prediction that FSD is going to be solved this year. But this is also the first time I've seen a bunch of automotive experts and journalists sitting around in armchairs going into detail about Tesla's full self-driving software stack. This is the first time I've seen that. So that's got to mean something. I mean, the shift is happening right before our eyes. It might not have caught up in the revenue yet, but the plane hasn't even left the tarmac. We're still in the fetus stage. So if you're new to this channel, these are the types of videos I like to do. This was an hour-long podcast. I pulled out some great moments, and you know what? This was a really dense podcast. This is going to be part 1 of me reacting to this. So make sure you're subscribed if you did enjoy this video. And guys, today is Valentine's Day, and for the first time, almost half of Americans are not married. They're single and buying things for themselves. What are they buying? I don't know, but today the orders on my website for my t-shirt are skyrocketing. Are older single men buying my t-shirt for themselves on Valentine's Day? Potentially.